Hi, how are you? This is the Phantom of the Ore. This is my Building Real Houses in Minecraft series where I take a picture off Google and I recreate it in my Minecraft creative world, and today we're going to be making this house. Isn't that right, Mr. B? Someone recently commented on one of my videos with a really good tip, and that is to focus on the smallest detail of the build first before anything else, and that will help you get the proportions right for the rest of the house. I thought that was really good advice, and so I'm going to be starting with the garage door of this house before anything else, because that grid is going to be hard to replicate. It took me a long time to figure out what I even wanted to do with it, and I've said this before in other videos, but getting white trim to go around stuff is really just not a thing you can do in Minecraft. So I was trying to figure out how I was even going to have really thin white bars in between all of these rectangles without making the house way too big and disproportional to the rest of the houses that I've built already. On a side note, I'm super excited for this type of house because it's different from the other ones I've made in the sense that it's a house from the city. So I was really excited to work on this one because not only is it very detailed, which will mean it's a challenge, but also for me in particular, there's just something really special and nostalgic about this type of architecture. And you don't really see people make builds like this in Minecraft very often. So I definitely knew that I wanted to use regular terracotta and smooth quartz for this build because the colors seemed to match pretty much perfectly with what I was seeing in the picture, as well as the textures. But as for the main siding of the house, I had more issues. Originally, I tried to go with junglewood planks, but I ended up not liking that color at all. Then I tried to go with stripped junglewood, but then you lose the texture of the siding, so that really wasn't ideal either. Terracotta was the right color, but it wasn't the right texture. It really mostly worked for the garage door section, but definitely not for the siding. I tried alternating the terracotta with mushroom blocks as kind of an experiment to see what that would look like. And it was definitely a consideration, but at the end of the day, not what I was looking for. But now that I had a rough general idea of what this was going to look like, I tore down everything and started again with a fresh idea in mind. The plan I ended up really liking was using stairs to make that trim around the rectangles of the garage door. It ended up being exactly what I needed. I originally made the rectangles too thin here, but I do correct that at the end. But I was trying to make it 5 high, like you see in the picture. Signs were an interesting idea for the siding, but also didn't look very good. And then eventually I settled with birch planks because even though it wasn't a perfect solution, it wasn't a bad solution. I used quartz columns for that interesting edge on the sides of the house, and then just different types of textures of quartz in order to simulate all of the interesting trim decorations around the windows. If I was making this house to a larger scale, I could probably get more detailed with it, but I think I did a pretty good job at copying this type of style at the current scale. As usual, I used black stained glass, and I considered using end rods for the window frames, but it wasn't quite what I was looking for, so I just went with some slabs and a 2-block deep window, as usual. You can see me here really trying hard to put end rods into this design somehow. It's because they worked so well in the last build that I was sure I could use them for some kind of detailing. The hardest part of the build for me, I think, was just replicating what I did with the first window on the second window. But surprisingly, it wasn't as complex as I expected it to be. Once that part was done, I decided to do the top of the house with terracotta again. And I finally found a use for my precious end rods, which I actually think was a pretty clever idea, if I do say so myself, because it matched up with the trim in the picture really good and started to really make it feel like this house was an older style of architecture belonging in a city. The roof was very easy to do since it was flat. I just had to make sure it came out enough and had the white trim around it. And then it was just a matter of making the other half of the house proportionate with the windows that I already made. So I just needed to make sure that the door came down to the right spot so that I'd have room for the brick stairs. But so far, the front face of the house was looking really great. Now, as usual, I'm going to complain about the lack of door variety in Minecraft. I really wish we had an option for black doors and taller doors. With this entrance in particular, it was really hard to do, and it took me a while to figure it out, because my usual method of just using double doors with some wood on top to give the appearance of a taller entrance wasn't going to work. It just didn't look right. So you see me here trying various different decorations and trying to get something right. Eventually I settled with black stone bricks, and it'll have to do for now. I'm actually really surprised with how accurate I could get this picture, because I really wasn't expecting to get such good results. And really, I'm very proud of this one. Making all the sides for this house was only tedious because of how tall it was, but because it's a square-shaped house, it has been the easiest one to make compared to the other ones so far. I really hope I get to work on the interior of this house because I'm particularly excited for this one. There's just something so cozy about the inside of these types of houses to me, and it would be a pleasure to get to work on it. I don't really know what's on top of the roof of this house, but I decided to go with black stone brick slabs just because I didn't want to leave it as terracotta. That didn't seem very realistic to me. And then finally, all I had left to do was the driveway and the little garden around it, which was super simple. I just textured stone with andesite and gravel, and then I used oak leaves and azalea to do the rest. So what do you think of this build? Would you make it in survival? If you do, I'd really like to know. Please show me what you do, or let me know if you agree with my choices or if you would do something differently than I did. If you want to give me suggestions on what to build next or show me some of your builds, follow me on Twitter and Tumblr. I'm pretty active on both, and I'll check out your stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.